Okay, here is Sketches School. I have the watercolour tool selected on the left-hand side. It's the one that's red at the moment, and I'm just choosing a colour. To choose a colour, you press the colour square in the bottom right-hand corner to select. If you tap it, it brings up some options, but if you hold it, it gives you more choice. So at the moment, I'm just demonstrating that if you keep your finger or a pencil on the screen, it creates one continuous splodge of paint. But if you take your finger or pencil off and then put it back down, it creates another layer, as you can see here. And they're like translucent layers, so we can see through, and it creates a line where it joins and layers the colour, which might be useful if you want to achieve something with layers like that, but it's very difficult to have a gradual fading of colour, so be mindful of that. What I'm showing you now is what happens if you tap. Really, a short tap of the screen creates a nice splodge, like you've dropped watery paint onto the page. Again, it might be useful, it might not. Your best friend will be the undo button in the top left corner, and also the eraser, which is the fourth from the bottom of the tools. So here is a time lapse of me trying to recreate one of the pieces of art that I showed you last week. You'll notice that I have used watercolour to create a background, and then I used the eraser to get white paper again. Obviously you can't do that in real life, so this is one of the strengths of using this tool, is that we can rub out and get pure white page inside of watercolour. Now I'm using the pen tool to draw my lines. You could use any, the pen, the pencil, the felt tip, depending on what artwork you're creating. But this one does have lines on it, so this was perfect. Unfortunately, it's cutting off the top of my screen, but you can see me filling in with different shades of colour. And on the right-hand side, you can see the size of brush, those 3 circles, very handy, depending on what you're actually wanting to colour in with your watercolour. And here, I struggled to find the tool. The watercolour wasn't small enough, so I just used I coloured it all in with the watercolour, the smallest brush, and then went through with my smallest eraser just to get the bits that had kind of overflown my lines. So again, it's a good tool, the eraser, something we don't have in real life. So I'm just choosing my shades of colour. Oh, this bit. Okay, so can you see that blue kind of blended with the pink and created a dark section? That wasn't something I wanted to do. That was because part of the pink paint was still wet. So you will notice, actually you can't see it on the screen, in the bottom right corner of the screen on Sketches School, you have your square of colour, which allows you to choose your colour. But you also have a paint drip icon. If you press that, it dries all the paint on your page, so then you won't have that problem that I had.